Indiana Virtual. The purpose of this video is to give you an introduction to lesson 0306 mutations. Okay, so first thing we will do is go to Buzz and open up the lesson on 0306. And on the introductory slide, we're going to scroll down to the very bottom of the lesson. We're going to open the Mutations Biology Notebook. Okay, I am going to go ahead and go over to our Google site and scroll down to that lesson and go ahead and open the same document as the Google Doc. Okay. And now we can take a look and see what it is that we are going to learn about in this lesson. So, genetic mutations. So we have a little bit of some background questions to first answer. How can DNA change or be damaged? What is a mutation? Are all mutations detrimental to the organism? Mutations can be separated into what? Two basic categories. Okay, and then you're going to learn about those two categories. We have chromosomal mutations and we have gene mutations. Okay, the lesson will continue on in discussing genetic variation and then gene expression. And then we will go into harmful and helpful mutations. And then our last couple topics are mutagens and how mutagens can lead to cancer. Okay, and then you have a sample question here as well. Okay, so now you have an idea of what it is that we are going to be learning. We will go back to the lesson and start learning. You'll see that we have 8 slides of information here, so it's a little bit more of a lengthy lesson in terms of number of slides anyway than some others. Okay, so as you read through the first slide, document any information that you feel is critical or important or applies to that notes handout. Then we will go to slide 2. And now you'll start learning about the two different kinds of mutations. So mutations in general and what they are, and then going into chromosomal mutations. And this is also another good visual lesson in terms of maybe copy pasting some pictures into your notes handouts. Okay, chromosomal mutations, we have 4 different types. We have deletion, duplication, inversion, and translocation. So you'll want to be able to distinguish between those 4. Okay. When we're done with this slide, we will go on to the next, and then we will learn about gene mutations. So gene mutations and chromosomal mutations are both, even though they're both mutations, they're both pretty different from one another. Chromosomal mutations are really large mutations that impact large sections of a chromosome, where a gene mutation impacts 1 base or 2 base nitrogenous bases of the DNA. So they're much smaller scale mutations, although depending on the mutation, it could make a really big impact on the organism. Okay, but when we are speaking in terms of how many nitrogenous base pairs are impacted, chromosomal mutations impact a lot more and a lot more genes. So typically, chromosomal mutations are far more harmful to the developing organism than what gene mutations are. Okay, with gene mutations, we can have base pair substitution mutations, and we could have base pair insertions and deletions. So in those terms, they are exactly what they sound like. To substitute something is to swap something in for another. So we are going to swap one with substitutions. We're going to swap one nitrogenous base in place of the one that should be there. Okay, for an insertion, a nitrogenous base is going to be inserted into the DNA, bumping the rest down the line, whereas deletion is one nitrogenous base is removed, and so the downstream bases get bumped up. Okay, and then you have a little bit of practice here on organizing, categorizing, and matching up terms between both chromosomal and gene mutations. Okay, when you're ready, go on to slide 4. Now we will learn a little bit about genetic variation and gene expression and how some mutations can be helpful and how some mutations can be harmful. You could probably brainstorm a little bit on your own in thinking how genetic mutation might actually be something that's good. A lot of times people think because when they hear that word mutation, they automatically assume that it's something bad, something awful. But mutations can actually be helpful. It all depends on the organism and the environment in which it's in. It depends what that mutation enables that organism to do. You know, maybe it's a mutation that allows a predator to run a little bit faster or to have a little bit better vision. So mutations could be good things. It all just depends. Okay, when you're ready, go on to the next slide. Now we're going to have lots of examples of mutations. So we have sickle cell, non-disjunction, which results in a variety of different things, cystic fibrosis, which maybe you've heard of, mutations happening in insects, making them resistant to chemical pesticides, mutations in humans, breeding organisms together or plants together. There's a couple different examples within that section. And then we have the topic of mutagens. So mutagens are things that cause DNA to mutate. So you'll be able to identify various things in our environment that are considered mutagens. Okay. At this point, we now have something, this is a little bit of a different slide. We have something called reflecting on core concepts. So make sure you go through that interactive piece here. Okay, and then we get into cancer. And this actually ties into what your assignment will be about, this topic of cancer, because your assignment in this lesson is on breast cancer. Okay, so make sure you read through that, document any important information that you feel is necessary. And then when you are ready, we will be to the final slide where your assignment shows up here. Okay, so I'm going to pause this video for now while you learn everything in the lesson, and we'll come back in the next video and we will talk about the activity. Okay, bye.